Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Zone Voice English Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to explore a well-known productivity book called Getting Things Done by David Allen. This book was written to help people manage their tasks, plans, and everyday responsibilities more effectively. In modern life, many people feel overwhelmed because they have so much to do. There are emails waiting for replies, meetings on the schedule, family obligations, personal commitments, and countless small tasks that need attention. As a result, our minds often become crowded with unfinished thoughts. You may have experienced this yourself. You're trying to relax, but suddenly you remember an email you forgot to send, a bill that still needs to be paid, or a message you haven't answered yet. Even during your free time, your brain keeps reminding you about unfinished work. David Allen shares an important idea in his book. He explains that the human mind was not designed to store every task and responsibility. Our brains are excellent at generating ideas and solving problems, but they are not meant to act as storage systems for dozens of reminders. When we try to keep too many things in our heads, we begin to feel stressed and distracted. This creates what Allen calls mental clutter. Mental clutter is the collection of unfinished tasks and responsibilities that constantly occupy our attention. Think of your mind as a desk. When the desk is neat and organized, it is easy to focus and work efficiently. But when it is covered with papers, notes, books, and random items, concentrating becomes much harder. According to David Allen, our minds work in exactly the same way. When too many unfinished tasks stay in your mind, your brain finds it difficult to relax. David Allen explains this using a concept called open loops. An open loop is something you have started thinking about or planning, but you have not completed yet. For example, you might need to call your bank, prepare a presentation, start exercising, or learn a new skill. All these tasks stay in your mind like unfinished circles. They remain open, not closed. Because they are incomplete, your brain keeps bringing them back into your attention again and again. That is why even a small task can follow you throughout the day. You may keep thinking, I need to send that email, I should call my friend, or I need to clean my desk. David Allen explains that the real issue is not the amount of work itself, but the effort of trying to remember everything. Our brain is not designed for that. It prefers order and clarity. The mind wants to know that tasks are stored somewhere safe and organized. This is why the first important principle in getting things done is very simple. Do not keep tasks in your head. Instead, move them into a trusted system. A trusted system is any place where you can collect and organize your tasks, such as a notebook, a digital app, or a simple to-do list. The key point is that your brain must trust this system. When it knows that every task is safely written down, it can let go and relax. You no longer need to keep repeating it in your mind. David Allen says that when people start writing everything down, something interesting happens. Their mind becomes much calmer. Because the brain finally understands that the task has been recorded, it no longer needs to keep holding it. I don't need to remember it anymore. This idea sounds simple, but it is extremely powerful. Many people try to become more productive by working harder. They attempt to complete more tasks in less time and move faster from one activity to another. But David Allen explains that productivity is not about speed. It is about clarity of thinking. When your mind is clear, you make better decisions. When your mind is calm, your focus improves. And when your mind is organized, everything becomes easier to handle. In the book, David Allen gives a simple example. Imagine someone asks you to organize a small event. It could be a meeting, a dinner with friends, or even a small conference. At first, you might feel slightly stressed. Why? Because your mind immediately starts generating many questions. Where will it take place? Who should be invited? What time should it start? Do we need food? Do we need equipment? All these thoughts appear at once, creating mental pressure. But something changes when you begin to write them down. You start listing things like find a location, invite the guests, prepare the schedule, arrange the food. Now these tasks are outside your mind. They are visible, clear, and structured. And because they are clear, they feel much easier to manage. This brings us to an important word, manageable. Manageable means something you can handle step by step. When tasks stay only in your mind, they feel large and confusing. But when they are written down, they become smaller, clearer, and easier to complete. David Allen explains that many people live with stress because they try to keep everything inside their head. But the mind is not meant to be a storage system. The mind should be a space for thinking. In other words, your brain is meant for ideas, decisions, and creativity, not for storing dozens of small tasks. When your mind is free from constant reminders, something important happens. You become more focused. You become more creative. You feel calmer, and you can work with more energy. This is where the getting things done method begins. Its purpose is not only to help you complete tasks. The deeper goal is to create what David Allen calls a mind like water. A mind like water means a calm and balanced mind. Think of a still lake. When the water is calm, it reflects everything clearly. But when the surface is disturbed and moving, the reflection becomes unclear. Our mind works in the same way. When it is calm, our thinking is clear. When it is overloaded with stress, our thoughts become confused. David Allen believes that a good productivity system should help you reach this calm state, without pressure or stress, but with full clarity. In the next part of this summary, I will explain the first step of the getting things done method. This step is called capture. To capture something means to collect it. In this step, you learn how to gather all your tasks, ideas, responsibilities, and even worries into one trusted place. Once you understand this step, you will begin to see how powerful the system really is. David Allen says that if we want to feel calm and organized, we must first take tasks out of our mind and place them into a trusted system. This means collecting everything that has your attention. Your attention refers to anything your mind keeps returning to again and again. For example, you might constantly think about things like replying to an email, buying groceries, learning a new skill, or completing an important task. Finish a project or plan a trip. These are all examples of things that take up mental space. Even the smallest tasks can stay in your thoughts for a long time. David Allen says something very important. If something has your attention, it should live outside your mind, not inside it. That is why the first step of the system is called capture. Capture means collecting everything, every task, idea, plan, and responsibility, and placing it in one single place. David Allen calls this place an inbox. An inbox is simply where things come in. Most people know the word inbox from email. When someone sends you a message, it goes straight into your inbox. But in the Getting Things Done system, an inbox can take many forms. It might be a notebook, a simple list on your phone, or a digital task manager. Some people even use small pieces of paper. The tool itself is not important. What matters is having one trusted place to capture everything. Imagine that during your day, a thought suddenly appears. For example, you remember that you need to book a doctor's appointment. Instead of holding that thought in your mind, you quickly write it down. Now your brain no longer needs to carry it. Later, you might get another idea, such as starting a new exercise routine. Again, you write it down. Then someone asks you to prepare a report for next week, and you capture that as well. By the end of the day, many small tasks and ideas have been collected in your inbox. David Allen says this step is extremely powerful. Why? Because at that moment, your brain starts to trust the system. It understands that every task will be stored in a safe place. As a result, it no longer needs to repeat the same reminder again and again. Many people feel an instant sense of relief when they begin capturing everything. They feel lighter. They feel more peaceful. It is similar to cleaning a messy room. At first, everything is scattered everywhere. But when you start gathering items and placing them into one box, the space slowly becomes clearer and more organized. The mind works in the same way. However, David Allen introduces one important rule: capture everything. Do not judge whether something is important or not. If it enters your mind, write it down. For example, if you suddenly think about reading a new book, capture it. If you want to repair something at home, write it down. If you plan to learn a new language, add it to your list as well. Your inbox should become a safe place where every idea can land without pressure. Later, you will decide what to do with all these items. But during the capture stage, your only job is to collect. Most people do not realize how many unfinished thoughts they actually carry. When they begin capturing everything, they may write down 50, 100, or even more items. Some are big tasks, some are small reminders, and some are long-term goals. But all of them take up mental space. When these thoughts move out of the mind and into a system, the brain naturally begins to relax. David Allen also explains that capturing should happen immediately. If you wait too long, you may forget the idea, or your brain will keep looping it again and again. For example, imagine you are walking outside and suddenly remember something important. For example, you might need to send an important message. If you tell yourself, "I will remember it later," your brain will keep repeating the reminder. It keeps saying, "Don't forget this task." Today, many people use their phones as a capture tool. They open a simple notes app and quickly write down their tasks. Others prefer a small notebook. Some people use digital productivity apps. Again, the tool is not the most important part. What matters most is the habit of capturing. David Allen says that once you build this habit, your mind starts to change. Instead of holding tasks all day, your brain quickly transfers them into the system. This makes your mind feel free again. However, there is one more important point. Your inbox should not become a place where tasks stay forever. The inbox is only temporary. Think of it like a basket where you collect items before sorting them. Later, you process the inbox and decide what each item means. But that comes after. For now, the goal is simple. Capture everything that has your attention. David Allen believes this single habit can change people's lives. When you stop carrying constant reminders in your mind, you feel lighter. Your focus improves. Your attention becomes stronger. Your mind becomes more peaceful. Now a new question appears. What happens next when your inbox is full of ideas, tasks, reminders, and plans? David Allen explains that the next step is called clarify. Clarify means understanding what each item really is and deciding what action is required. Many people feel confused when they look at their task list. This is often because the tasks are written in unclear or vague language. For example, you might write something like this in your list. Project is not clear. What does it actually mean? Does it mean starting the project, finishing it, or talking to someone about it? Your brain does not know. And when the brain is unsure, it often avoids the task. That is why David Allen says every task must be clear and specific. Instead of writing project, you should ask a simple question. What is the next physical action? A physical action means something real that you can actually do. For example, open the project document, send an email to the team, write the first paragraph, or schedule a meeting. These are clear actions. When your brain sees a clear action, it immediately understands what to do. And when you know exactly what to do, the task feels much easier. David Allen explains that many people feel stressed because their tasks are unclear. Their lists contain big ideas, not real actions. For example, a list might say, health, career, house. These words are too general. They do not tell your brain what to do next. But when you clarify them, they become actionable steps. Health might become call the doctor to book a checkup. House might become clean the kitchen table. Career might become update my resume. Now the brain understands exactly what is required. This simple shift can completely change the way you work. David Allen also says that when you clarify a task, you should ask another question. Is this actionable? Actionable means can you actually do something about it now or soon? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is no. If the answer is no, then you have different options. Sometimes the idea you capture is something for the future. For example, you might write down learn. Photography. This is not something you can start immediately, so it becomes a long-term goal. In this case, you can place it in a list called Someday, Maybe. This list is for ideas you want to explore later. They are not urgent tasks, but possible future interests. At times, you may also realize that an item is no longer important. Maybe you wrote something down earlier, but now it does not feel relevant. In that case, you simply delete it. This is also part of clarifying. You decide what deserves your attention and what does not. But if the answer is yes and the task is actionable, you move to the next question. What is the very next action? The next action must be something clear, concrete, and doable. For example, if you captured the idea plan vacation, it is still too large and unclear. But when you clarify it, the next action might become search for flights online or check hotel prices. Now the task becomes specific and manageable. David Allen also introduces another important idea. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, you should do it immediately. This is called the 2-minute rule. For example, if you need to reply to a short email and it takes only a minute, do it right away. Do not add it to a list or organize it later, just complete it. Why? Because organizing a small task often takes more time than actually finishing it. The 2-minute rule keeps your system simple and efficient. Small tasks disappear quickly, your list becomes shorter, and your mind feels more organized. Another situation can also happen. Sometimes a task cannot be done by you, or sometimes the task cannot be done by you alone. You may need someone else to complete it. For example, you might need information from a colleague. In this situation, you delegate the task. Delegate means giving responsibility to another person. Even when you delegate, you should still record it in your system. You can create a list called Waiting For. This list includes tasks that other people are currently handling. For example, waiting for manager. Approval of the budget. This helps you track what you are expecting from others. During the clarify step, you make a series of simple decisions. You ask yourself, what is this item? Is it actionable? What is the next action? Can I do it now? Should someone else do it? Or is it something for the future? Each item becomes clearer and more structured. David Allen says that when people learn to clarify properly, something powerful happens. Tasks stop feeling heavy. Lists stop feeling confusing. Instead of a long, stressful list, you see clear next actions. And when every task has a clear next step, it becomes much easier to begin the work. In the next part of this summary, we will move to the third step of getting things done. This step is called organize. Organize means placing each task in the right position within your system. Think of a kitchen. Every tool has its place. Plates go in one cabinet, glasses in another, and forks and knives in a drawer. When everything is stored properly, cooking becomes simple and efficient. But imagine a kitchen where everything is mixed together. Plates are in the sink, forks are on the table, and nothing is in order. Pans are on the floor, and cooking in that kind of kitchen would feel stressful. Your productivity system works in exactly the same way. If tasks are not properly organized, you waste time trying to find them, and your mind starts to feel confused. David Allen explains that a good system needs different types of lists, each with a clear purpose. One of the most important lists is the next actions list. This contains small, concrete tasks that you can do as soon as you have time. These are already clarified, meaning you know exactly what the next step is. For example, your next actions list might include send a report to the manager, call the dentist, buy groceries, or write the introduction of an article. These are not big ideas, they are real, immediate actions. When you have free time, you simply look at this list and choose something to do. Another key list is the projects list. In the Getting Things Done system, a project is anything that requires more than one step to complete. For example, planning a vacation, writing a research paper, organizing a conference, or moving to a new apartment. Each of these goals involves multiple steps, so they are treated as projects. The projects list helps you keep track of all your bigger goals in one place. But it is important to understand this clearly. A project is not an action. You cannot complete a project in a single step. Instead, you must break it down into smaller actions. Each project should always have at least one next action connected to it. For example, if your project is planned summer vacation, your next action might be search for flight tickets online or check hotel prices in Rome. Once that step is done, you decide the next action again. This is how a project gradually moves forward. David Allen also introduces another list called waiting for. This is the list we mentioned earlier. This waiting for list contains tasks that other people are responsible for completing. For example, you might write waiting for John to send the contract, waiting for the teacher to review the assignment, or waiting for the repair service to respond. This list is important because it helps you track what you are expecting from others. Sometimes people forget that they are waiting for something. Weeks can pass without any follow-up. But when you maintain a waiting for list, you can regularly review it and follow up when needed. Another helpful list is the someday maybe list. This list includes ideas you might want to do in the future, but which are not important right now. For example, learning to play guitar, starting a small business, traveling to Japan, or writing a book. These are interesting ideas, but not urgent actions. Instead of letting them stay in your mind, you place them in the someday maybe list. Later, when you have more time or interest, you can revisit them. Some ideas may become real projects, while others may remain dreams. The key point is that your mind no longer has to carry them constantly. David Allen also explains that people often organize tasks by context. Context means the situation or environment in which you can complete a task. For example, some tasks require a phone, others require a computer, and some can only be done at home. So you might create lists like phone calls, computer tasks, or home tasks. When you organize work this way, it becomes much easier to decide what to do. For example, if you are at an airport, you cannot clean your house, but you can reply to emails or send messages, so you would look at your phone or computer list. When you are at home, you simply check your home tasks list. In this way, your system becomes more practical and flexible. David Allen believes that a good productivity system should work in real life, not just in theory. It should help you quickly see what actions are possible in the present moment. The fourth step of the Getting Things Done system is called review. Review means going back to your system and checking whether everything is still accurate, organized, and clear. Think of a garden. If you plant flowers but never return to care for them, weeds will start to grow and some plants will lose direction. Some will need water and others will need attention. But when you regularly visit the garden, you can maintain it properly. You remove weeds, water the plants, and guide everything so it grows well. Your productivity system works in the same way. It needs regular maintenance. David Allen says the most important part of this step is the weekly review. Once a week, you take time to go through your entire system. During the weekly review, you check your lists. You go through your next actions, your projects, your waiting for list, and also your calendar. You ask yourself, what did I complete this week? What still needs attention? What new tasks have appeared? Are my projects moving forward? Without this review, it is easy to forget important work or lose progress on meaningful goals. The review keeps your system active and up to date. David Allen makes an important point. When people skip the review step, they slowly stop trusting their system. Why? Important things might be missing. When this happens, the brain starts storing tasks again. The mind becomes crowded once more. But when you review your system regularly, your brain learns something important. It learns that everything is under control. Your brain understands that nothing important will be forgotten. As a result, the mind becomes calm again. A weekly review usually includes several simple steps. First, you collect new ideas. During the week, you may have written notes or reminders. You move all of them into your inbox. Second, you process your inbox. You clarify what each item means and decide the next action for each one. Third, you review your projects list. You make sure every project has at least one next action. If a project has no action, it will stop moving forward. So you decide the next step for it. Fourth, you check your waiting for list. Maybe someone promised to send you information or complete part of a task. If too much time has passed, you may need to follow up and ask for an update. Finally, you go through your someday maybe list. Sometimes ideas on this list become relevant again. Maybe now is the right time to start them, or maybe they are no longer important. The weekly review helps you make these decisions calmly. David Allen explains that many people feel a strong sense of clarity after their first weekly review. They suddenly see their life more clearly. They see their commitments, their goals, and what needs attention or can wait. Instead of feeling lost in small tasks, they feel organized. The review step also builds something very important: trust. Your brain must trust the system. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for listening to English Unleashed. If you enjoyed this summary and want to learn English through books, ideas, and stories, make sure to follow the podcast and keep practicing your listening. Remember, small actions done consistently can create powerful change. Bye for now.